Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is Saturday, which I think is the 27th of October 2018, but I'm not going to pause the video again to check. I'm coming to you from Germany, if I haven't said that before. And I'm so glad that you're joining me to do some knitting and talk about knitting, yarn, and anything related to that. This is a super stressed out podcast and I'm very, very sorry about that. I promised you guys that I would record an episode before we go to Oslo, which will happen tomorrow. But then some unexpected stuff came up, which means that I thought about actually not podcasting, but I did want to get an episode out. So this is going to be a relatively short one. I actually even didn't make myself a cup of coffee, which is so sad. Coffee, where are you? Anyways, so that's why I seem to be a little bit all over the place. I've just started the recording for the second time because I apparently forgot how to do a podcast. But we'll just push through it now, and I hope that in the end it will be some kind of watchable episode for you guys. So if you're watching for the first time, I'm sorry for the chaos. Maybe go back and watch another episode. But if you're coming back, thank you ever so much for your support. I really, really appreciate that. So today I'll talk about a couple of finished objects, which is the main reason why I wanted to check in with you guys. I have a couple of works in progress, and then I'll give you a very quick live update. And I think it'll be a very short show today because we are expecting people to come over very soon. Also, I got a terrible cold just before going away. It has, thank goodness, I've recovered relatively quickly. But I can still, and you can probably still hear it on my voice, and I feel a little bit all over the place because of that as well. But let's jump into some knitting. I have a couple of finished objects. First up, I have 2 pairs of finished socks. These ones are my handspun socks. I knit these out of a yarn that I spun myself. I got the fiber from Das Mondschaf with Sabrina. And I spun it into a 3-ply or chain ply sock yarn. It was a merino nylon blend. And I got a really nice fingering weight yarn, exactly the way I wanted it to turn out. And I did a 64 stitch sock on 2.25mm US size 1 needles. I really, really like how these came out. I spun it in a way to ideally get really short color repeats, and that's exactly what happened, so I'm very, very happy about that. What's really funny is the fact that although these yarns are definitely not spun in a way to match, the feet of the socks are almost identical in the way the color progresses. So I just thought that was really, really funny. I didn't plan it that way, but it looks really good, doesn't it? But then, of course, the top looks quite different, which, again, I think is really fun. That's just part of Handspun. And, yeah, I'm really happy with these. But I'm also very, very happy to have them off my needles because they were annoying me in the end. Can't tell you why, but I'm happy to have them done. So that's my first finished pair of socks, and these will most likely be for me. Next up, I also finished Kai's socks. I kind of tried to finish everything before going to Oslo. And it seems that I got a lot of knitting done. So last time I showed these to you, I think I had just turned the heel on the second sock. And now they are done. They are crazy pooling socks, which is exactly what Kai likes. And I do really, really love the colors on these as well. I love that they are not just orange and gray, but they have this sort of brown going through it as well. And I almost stabbed myself in the eye just there. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with these. For these, I actually went up a needle size, so I went up to a 2.5mm US 1.5 needle, and therefore stuck with my stitch count of 64 stitches to get a Kai-sized pair of socks. And guess what? I made him try them on, and Kai used to like sort of shorter socks. And then lately he wanted them longer, and he tried them on and he was like, oh, they're too long. And I was kind of mad at him for that because obviously it takes a long time to knit a long cuff, especially on these sizes. But thank goodness he recovered and he will wear them, and next time I will knit him shorter cuffs again, which is fine by me because that goes a lot faster. But anyways, they are done. Really love them. The yarn that I used is yarn from a German company, Tausendschön. This is where you can find them. I'm not sure if they ship outside of Germany. I'm very sorry about that. And the colorway is Widder, and I got it on their sock base, which is a really nice wool nylon blend. I'm not sure if it's a merino actually. It might be. It doesn't say here. But it's a really nice and yet still affordable sock base, which I really enjoy. I've knit some socks out of the same yarn years and years ago, and they still hold up really well. So very happy about that. And if they hold up well for Kai, I might actually get a couple of more skeins and knit him some more socks. So that's it in terms of my sock finished objects. And then of course, maybe you've already seen, I'm also wearing a finished object, which is my Jolie sweater. I knit this out of Wollmeise Pure, which is their 100% merino yarn. It is about a sport weight, I would say, maybe heavy fingering. I can never pronounce the name of the designer of this pattern, but you can find it on my project pages on Ravelry. My name is Wupfi, which is W-U-E-P-F-I. And it is called the Jolie sweater, and as you can see, it has lace at the top and over the shoulders, and then it's just a lot of stockinette. And I really, really like how this turned out. I will try to stand up and it will be very awkward, I'm sure. But I think it got a really nice length. I just knit it as long as I felt right. And then I did sort of like three-quarter length sleeves, which again, this is my preferred length of sleeves if I'm not knitting super warm sweaters, which this isn't. I actually probably finished this a little bit too late in the year because I think this would be a really good sweater for summer and spring, like a really light sort of top sweater. So for now, it's almost a little bit too cold, but I still really, really like it, and I feel like it's a really wearable sweater, even maybe for the office. So that's really, really good. I'm also really happy about the yarn. This is my first time knitting a garment out of Wollmeise yarn, and I feel like this will hold up forever. I will report back on that when I've worn it a lot and washed it a lot, but so far I really like it, and it's a really strong yarn, but while still being very soft and wearable, and I really, really like it. How many more times can I say that? It fits really great. I still have to kind of figure out what I'm going to wear underneath, maybe more like a tank top in summer, but we'll figure that out as we go. And yeah, very, very happy about that. I think it's definitely one of my better fitting garments that I've knit recently as well. And like I said, it's very wearable for any occasion, whereas some of the more Norwegian style colorwork sweaters are not really suitable for work, at least for me. So yeah, that is that. Finished object number 3. I'm so happy to have gotten all of my sweaters off the needles lately. Besides one, which again, I think that's a perfect transition into my whips. In my yellow bag, I'm probably going to move this because I'm planning to take this to Norway with me, and this bag is huge and very heavy, so I'm probably going to move this into a different bag. But in here I have my Emma sweater, or Emma yoke sweater. This is my only sweater whip at the moment, which is really, really amazing because I've been having more than 2 sweaters on the go lately at once. So this feels really, really easy. So this is the Emma sweater by Knit for Passion, who is Astrid. She has some beautiful colorwork designs. I'm sure you've seen her before. She's actually from Germany. And when I saw this pattern come out, I decided to knit it immediately. And like I mentioned, I think I mentioned this last week, I was going to finish the yoke and separate for the sleeves, and now I just have a ton of stockinette, and I'm thinking that will be perfect travel knitting. So this is where we are with it. You can see it started from the top. It's the top-down sweater, and I have separated for the sleeves and done a tiny bit of progress, maybe like 3 inches of stockinette, and there's a million more to go. So now it's just stockinette in the round. I'm going to do some more decreases because I like to do my own sort of shaping. But yeah, I really like this. I think this reminded me of the Threepmere sweater by Isabel Kramer in the way that the construction worked. So I just really wanted to separate for the sleeves. But Astrid makes you do short rows below the color work as well, and combines those short rows with increases. And that's what I did with the Threepmere sweater as well, and that actually made for a really nice fit. So it's really hard for me to follow instructions because I always want to do my own thing. But in the end, I did decide to just follow what the pattern said, and it turned out really well. I think it's going to be a really nice fitting garment once again. So very happy and very proud because I'm very bad at doing what I'm supposed to do when it comes to knitting. I always feel like I know better, and I clearly don't. Yeah, so I tried this on. This is relatively oversized, which I really enjoy. There's nothing worse than a too tight yoke, because then you can't move, and if you move, your yoke moves up, and it's just terrible. So I always rather have these kind of sweaters a little bit wider and have a bit more positive ease, and then I can always shape the body however I want it to be shaped. I'm just soaking the smell in. You don't have smell-o-vision, but this is so sheepy, and I love it. I'll give you a quick close-up of the color work, and then I'll talk about the yarn that I'm using. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. The yarn that I'm using is one that doesn't have a label or anything, which makes it hard to talk about on a podcast. But it is, whoa, I just dropped a whip. Whoops. This yarn is a very sheepy yarn from Denmark. The company is called Garnutsalg. I linked it in my last podcast, so forgive me if I forget to link it today. You will find it on my project pages once again. It is similar to Holzgarn, even though I think it is a little bit softer and woollier, which I really enjoy. So it comes in cakes of 100 grams, and these are about 550 meters per 100 grams. So again, very similar to Holz Super Soft. It's a very sheepy yarn, so if you don't like yarn that smells like sheep, don't get it. But if you like rustic yarns, it's really nice. I washed a swatch and it just came out beautiful. Very different to before it's washed. Maybe I can hold it next to each other and you can see the difference. Ooh. Probably looks exact. You can see here this looks a little bit ropey and gappy, whereas the swatch is beautiful and all the fibers are sticking together and it's just beautiful yarn. So I think this yarn actually, Garnutsalg is the company, and this yarn is called something Black Hill. I'm assuming Black Hill is maybe the type of sheep, but I don't really know. I'm just talking and I don't really know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I really like it, and it's a very light yarn once again, so you can knit it at a fingering weight gauge, but it produces a very light sweater, kind of similar to Holst or Jamieson & Smith, Triply Jumper Weight. It's that kind of woolly yarn, and this sweater, I think it used about less than 100 grams of yarn so far, so that's really good. So perfect travel project. I haven't really packed yet, and I've dropped my stitches. I've started packing, and I'm deciding that I will be deciding what knitting projects I end up taking once I have packed, because I want to essentially go with an empty suitcase in order to be able to bring all the yarn back. So I'm about 75% sure that I'm bringing this to Norway with me. We'll see. I'll decide that later. And I'm knitting this on 3mm needles in case anyone is interested, and that is that. And now I've got fluff up my nose. Let me just rescue my whip. Alright, in here I have another sock project, and you guys, I have a hoe, which is a half object in case you didn't know. I decided to cast on. I've been in a sock mood lately, if you haven't noticed. I haven't done much work on the sweater because I wanted to take that and not knit too much before I take it away. So I've been knitting a lot of socks. And I cast on a really fun pair of Regia socks. These are the Regia Perfect yarns, where you just follow the patterning of the yarn and you will get a beautiful self-patterning sock. And these will be a Christmas present for my future father-in-law, who really likes socks, and I'm hoping these won't be too crazy for him. But I have a lot of trust in him, and he's a really cool guy, so I hope that he will enjoy them. If I have time, I will knit him a more toned down pair of socks as well. But we'll just see how that goes. So I'm Christmas knitting. Yay! So I cast on 68 stitches and knit a plain vanilla sock. And yeah, I'm really, really happy how this first sock turned out. And yesterday I cast on the second sock. I made a monumental mistake because for this sock I used 68 stitches. For this sock I used 64 because I was tired and sick. But I thankfully realized after the ribbing. So the ribbing is different, but I don't think you can really see it, and wearing it, it won't really matter at all. So I just increased, and now I'm knitting both socks on the same stitch count, which is always very helpful. Besides that, 68 stitches, 2.25 millimeter needles, and yeah, really, really happy with them. They just flew off my needles. These Regia Perfect yarns, they're so fast because you just want to get to the next color repeat. And at the same time, they're super mindless, so I really, really like them. I would show you the tag, but you guys, we've been having these tiny flies in my apartment, and no, they're not moths. In case anyone is panicking, no, they're not. And I spent the entire week, it was a very grumpy week to be honest, and I spent the entire week trying to catch these dumb, stupid flies. And I finally caught one with the ball band of these socks, so I had to throw that out, but I did keep one piece that didn't have a dead fly on it for the colorway, which is a 9091. So in case you do want to get this yarn, sorry I can't show you an exciting label, but I kept the most important part. So there you go. And my other sock whip, I actually don't think I'm going to show you. I came up with a very, very spontaneous sock design, which I'm excited about, and this is actually being tested already. So I think from coming up with it to sending it out to my testers, it was less than 24 hours, which is very, very exciting. I haven't finished the sock myself, but it doesn't really matter. I know what I'm doing. But I'm going to show you the yarn. I posted a bit of a teaser on Instagram, so if you want to get a quick first look, you can also always check my Instagram, which is the Happy Knitting Podcast. But this is the yarn that I'm using. It is by Shebot Garne, who I love. The dyer behind that is Nadine. And I haven't knit with her yarn for a while, which is really sad. For a while I was knitting with it quite a lot, and I still really love it. So this is the tag. It's Shebot Garne in their soft sock, which is an 80-20 merino, and I love that base. This is the colorway Pfirsichblüte, and it's just so beautiful. It is very soft but not super plain, and it just inspired me. So you will see a sock design in this yarn very, very soon, which I am crazy excited about. I'm hoping maybe I'm pushing it. Possibly it may be published when I record next, but I'm not promising anything. But I thought what would be fun is I will do a little pattern giveaway. So you don't really know what you'll be getting yet, but it will be a sock pattern that I'll be coming out with, and I will be opening a thread in Ravelry. I will think of a prompt. I can't think of one right now, but I will think of something. And if you answer the question, 1 post per person, I will just randomly draw a couple of winners when I release this pattern, and you will get it first. So I think that'll be really fun. So check the Ravelry group, which is the Happy Knitting Podcast group on Ravelry if you're interested, if you like knitting socks. And yeah, that's about all I want to show you about that right now. But again, if you follow me on Instagram, sooner or later I will definitely be showing more sneak peeks of the socks the closer I get to the release date. so you can stay up to date on there. That is it in terms of my knitting. And I think I don't have that much to talk to you guys about. This week has been an annoying week, to be honest. Mostly because I was really upset at myself for getting a cold. Everyone in Germany, I feel like, has been super sick lately. My entire work colleagues, everyone has been sick, and I was the only one staying healthy. And then at some point, of course, I apparently couldn't take it anymore, and I got sick as well, but it wasn't really that bad. I kept working, and it was 2 miserable days, and now I'm feeling relatively okay again. Which is good, because we're flying to Oslo tomorrow, and I already have had the cold, so hopefully I'll be all good there. So for the millionth time, you guys are probably sick of me talking about it. I'm flying out to Oslo, Norway with my lovely friend Marion tomorrow. We will be there for 5 days, and yes, we will be shopping all the yarn stores, and I will be getting all the Fino yarn. We already have some knitting plans and some cast on plans. We both want to be casting on the new pattern by Ellie of Skandia. She brought out the spunny mittens. I almost said socks, which are beautiful colorwork mittens, and no, I'm not sponsored. I just really, really love them. So we decided we would get some yarn there and cast on those mittens from a Norwegian designer in Norway, and that'll be perfect. So that's what we have planned in terms of knitting and yarn shopping. I don't really know what else we'll be doing. I'm kind of relying very heavily on Marion, but we will figure it out. We have 5 days. And once again, if you want to meet up, if you're in Norway, if you want to do a quick knit night, get in touch. At this point, please get in touch through Instagram and messages, because that's what I'll be using mostly while traveling. And yes, I will be posting lots and lots of photos. There will probably be quite a bit of Oslo photo spam on Instagram. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to follow me there. And if you're not interested, I'm very, very sorry. You'll just have to scroll through. So that's what will be happening. I maybe will record a podcast, a vlog. Haven't decided yet. Don't know if I want to do it. Maybe we'll do it. We'll see. And I'm sure I'll be back with lots of yarn and maybe a vlog and probably a proper podcast episode as well. So that's a lot of fun stuff coming up, and I am very excited about it. I feel really unprepared because you're so busy, you kind of forget about it, and then I feel like I'm going to leave on the plane tomorrow, and I don't really know what to expect. But, well, it'll be really fun anyways, and yes. I need to stop saying the same thing all over again. So I think that's it for today's podcast. Sorry for the rushed episode if it was rushed. Well, that's just the way it goes. So next time I'm hoping to be back with you very relaxed, with lots of stuff to show you. Actually, right after Oslo, I'll be going away again to see my family, so we'll see how that goes. But anyhow, thank you so much for watching this podcast. I really, really hope that you have enjoyed it, and maybe you'll become a regular viewer if you aren't yet. Until I see you again, I hope you guys have a great weekend, have so much fun with your knitting, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!